Welcome to Dawn Michelle's channel.
I love when people introduce me for me.
Yeah.
Hi, it's Dawn Michelle, and welcome back to my channel. I'm here today with my good friend Lisa Pepez.
Hi.
And we are going to be answering your questions about tarot and
other stuff.
Well,
maybe having a cocktail.
Might be cocktails involved. They're your questions asked by
our spouses.
Hey, we're spouses.
So let's go ahead and get started.
Let's get started.
How did you guys become friends?
How did that start?
I think it was the rune study.
I feel like it was before the rune study.
Well, we talked. I think we had some conversations, definitely comments back and forth. We were in each other's Facebook groups.
We were kind of fans of each other's channels, I feel like. Like we were in each other's channel. Like we were just getting to know each other through watching each other's videos. And I can't remember who initiated contact first, like directly.
Yeah, I don't remember. But I think it was during the rune study when we started talking regularly.
That would make sense. Yeah. So that was our first big collaboration that we did. Mm-hmm. That was fun.
That was fun.
Like what surprised us about each other?
In person.
I was surprised. I would say the thing that I feel like, the thing that surprised me the most would be this isn't always when I met you, but like when I started getting to know you, how big of a nerd you are and how absolutely chill you are.
Nerd.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it about you.
Let's see.
B sci-fi. Oh my God.
I love
so much sci-fi.
I love B sci-fi. I drive Kevin crazy with it.
I liked sci-fi, and then I met you, and I was like, no, I'm not a sci-fi nerd. Nope.
I think for me, it was when I found out that you used to play World of Warcraft too.
Yeah. So
it's nerd stuff. Because neither one of us in our, let's quote unquote persona, which we don't really have people.
No.
This is just us.
Yeah. Really talked about it.
Yeah. It's just, I think it surprised me.
And both of us had played World of Warcraft with our spouses. Yeah.
It would feel like a merging of you two.
Oh, shoot.
Merging.
Is there a unicorn alien deck?
I don't think so.
Is there a flowers and rainbows?
I made a card that's
you
our
did
unicorn.
make a card that was like an alien hugging a unicorn. That was so perfect. But like let's think of decks that are out there. You know what I think might bridge us really well, actually? It kind of does bridge us because we both have different versions of the same deck, Tarot of the Holy Spectrum. You go with the muted tone version.
That is a great.
And I go with the, what's it called? The Infinity edition, which is super bright neon,
rainbow.
But it's the same deck. It's just that we each have the version that suits each of us better. But we both love it.
I'm muted. You're rainbow. I'm black and white.
Yeah, all black and white. Everything is black and white and floral. And I'm like rainbows and sparkles. Yep. That's basically the thing. Yeah.
That was a good answer.
Thank you. I'm very impressed with myself.
I know.
What is your favorite major arcana card and why?
Wow, that's actually harder than I thought it was.
I can go.
Go, yeah.
The Star card. I love the Star. It comes right after all the tumultuous upheaval of the Tower. So to me, it's about like sort of finding your footing again, coming back from difficulty, but also about doing that in a way where you can sort of allow yourself to be vulnerable again after pain and hardship.
I think my favorite would actually be the Lovers card. And I think because from my perspective, it's the most misunderstood.
Agreed.
Of the major arcana. Because for me, it has nothing to do with love. That's a Two of Cups energy. So we went down the rabbit hole.
Oh, well, this is what we do.
This is what we do.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Lovers, because it's the most misunderstood. And to me, that is the connection between the divine and us and the relationship we share.
Oh, I love that. Oh.
Okay. How do you feel about the blow up of tarot within the last 7 to 10 years?
I think it's freaking awesome.
I think it is too.
It's amazing.
I love mainstream tarot.
Same. I'm not threatened by kitschy decks coming out. I'm not worried that tarot is becoming too fluffy or too meaningless. I think the people that are drawn to tarot for depth are always going to be drawn to tarot for depth. And the people that were never going to be drawn to that side of tarot, we're still never going to be drawn to that side of tarot. So now there's decks for them. And I think that's great.
Yeah. I think it gives everybody, and that also goes into all the different decks that are out there. There's a lens for everything.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool. And I think the fact that we have that out as a part of our mainstream world and understanding, because this is for most people, it's a spiritual growth tool. So if there's a million of us finally doing some personal growth work. That's
good for the planet.
Good for humanity,
that's
right?
good for the planet.
Yes, let's please get mainstream
Yes.
with being mindful about, how we interact in the world.
I think too, it's also the piece where like you remember what it was like when there was like 6 decks to choose
Yeah.
from, and like you were so limited. And I think you'll see that I personally believe a lot of the people that have like larger deck collections now were people that back when only
Just had one
because
or
there was
two.
never something. You'd go into a shop and it was the same 3 or 4 decks every single time. So the wide variety is awesome.
It's
now.
amazing.
I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
I love
amazing.
it. I love the blow up. I'm here for it.
Me too.
Yeah.
When did you start reading tarot and what got you into it?
So mine was like, it must have been like real early 2000s, and I had a friend who had an oracle deck. It was the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins by Doreen Virtue, which I do have a copy of just because. And I was fascinated. I was like, what is this? That was oracle, and then we ventured to tarot, and then
the rest is
the rest is history. Yeah.
For me, it was a similar story. I was like, I don't know, 96 or 97. I was fresh out of high school, and I'd gotten wrapped up in sort of like a little pagan circle, and I went to an event like at somebody's home, and this one girl that I had gotten to know did a tarot reading for me. It was my first ever tarot reading. It was the Voyager Tarot, which I also now have for sentimental reasons, and it's also an awesome deck. And got a reading, and it like completely blew my mind. I tracked the details of that reading for years afterward because it was a very future predictive style reading, and like everything that she said came true, like in exactly the way that she said. And it was something that I just was so blown away by because I thought it was all bullshit. I thought tarot was like, I didn't get it. I was like, how you explain how it works. And so I was trying to like, it was almost science experimenty for me for a while. Like, I want to see if this thing is like, how does this work? Like, I want to understand it. So it was like, I wanted to just understand it. And then I figured out I couldn't, but it was still working anyways. And
Sometimes it just does.
it just works.
It just does.
That's the only answer I
Yeah.
have now. It's like, it just works.
It just does. You just kind of got to trust it.
Did you have any mentors when learning the tarot? What was the most valuable lesson you learned from that person?
Or who taught you to read the tarot, maybe?
That you, well, even if it's a loose association, was there somebody in your world that you feel helped you grow in your learning of tarot from at the beginning?
I was completely self-taught. I would say the Osho Zen Tarot taught me to read tarot initially, and then it was just voracious self-study after that. I don't think I really had anybody I could learn from that was really wanting to geek out about just tarot with me that way. So I was really self-taught.
I learned from a friend, which is why I read tarot in a weird way, because it's like this, almost like a family lineage type of thing. But as I've mentioned a million times, I was taught numerically and elementally, so it doesn't matter what deck you use.
Yeah.
But then I went on when I realized that there's like this whole plethora of things that you can learn and resources, and then that led me to Rachel Pollack, and then down the rabbit hole we went.
Yeah, Rachel
But
Pollack's
Rachel
work.
Pollack's books were probably like, could she be a mentor? Like,
That would be probably my biggest like author influence would be Rachel Pollack.
Her influence was so huge in my practice. And I don't really even read Rider-Waite Smith, but just, she goes so far beyond just that. It's just,
Yeah, 78. We were actually commenting about this earlier when I was poking around in your tarot room, that 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack is like both of our, like we both had
Our
battered
beginner
copies
books.
and
Yeah.
beginner book.
Yeah.
But like I picked that up now and I don't even know, like it actually seems so dense by today's comparison to like what kind of books are out there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I think she would be definitely up there, like not a mentor in a personal sense, but definitely a mentor through the resources.
Definitely through the resources for
Yeah.
sure.
How long have you gone without reading tarot?
Oh.
What kind of have you ever had a dry spell where you're just not doing any reading?
For years.
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
years probably about would be my longest. I think I went a chunk of about 10 years. I was completely out of it. I had gone into different types of spiritual practice that had nothing to do with cards. My cards were boxed. They were put away. I pulled them out rarely for like really big like life things, but otherwise they were away. No daily practice for quite a long time.
I think I was in that sort of burnout phase prior to coming onto TarotTube or
Yeah.
finding TarotTube, because I was viewer for
Wait,
a while.
Did Tarot Tube bring you back to your practice?
Yeah.
That's what happened to me too.
Because I found a video and I was like, oh, look, there's a different deck. Maybe that might connect
that
better.
was it for me too, and I think it was actually a video about the wild unknown. And I was like, "What is this?" Because there's nothing like that.
Was it a Kelly video?
Probably a Kelly video.
Just
By which we
saying.
mean Kelly Truth and Story.
Kelly Truth and Story, yeah.
That or Lenormand or something like that. I found something and I was like, "Oh, where was all this when I was doing tarot all the time?" And it was a whole new world.
It was a whole new world.
Yeah.
And then all the decks.
Yeah. And then, well, the rest is history.
And here we are.
Yeah.
Well, and so you guys came back. So what is it that made you come back? What makes tarot so important to you?
Tarot's a mirror.
Yes.
It just, if I can't figure out what is going on within me, I can pull cards and it's like getting out of your own way.
Yep. It's like having each, you know what it is? That all these decks that we work with, it's like we have all of these different perspectives that can help us understand ourselves better. So whether it's like life that's throwing us for a loop or trying to relate to others or
Internal struggles.
internal struggles, yeah, it's like we can pull out a deck and like it teaches you about yourself in a way that I don't think any other tool ever has.
It helps you also get out of your own way.
Yes.
Because you have to kind of distance yourself a little bit from the situation because now you have to work to interpret that card and then figure out, okay, so how does that apply to my situation? And then
it brings you out of like sort of the emotional intensity of it
Yeah.
and it brings you into more of an analytical space, which I feel like is so useful when you're trying to unpack anything.
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a mirror.
It's a mirror. I love that.
it's a
That's such
mirror.
a succinct way to say that.
It just really is, yeah.
Okay, so what exactly do you mean by shadow work? I'd love to have a proper idea of exactly what that means to each of you.
Well, keep an eye out for a series.
Yeah.
We were just talking about this
Yeah.
actually. So we'll
Yeah.
be going into this in much more detail. In short, in brief, to me, it's about confronting the parts of yourself that you repress or have difficulty integrating, whether these are things you don't like about yourself, things that make you nervous about yourself, or good things about yourself that you don't feel comfortable bringing into the light.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a lot about what is unacknowledged for me.
Yeah.
That can be good and that can be bad.
Yep.
Sometimes it's both.
Often.
Often it is both.
Yeah.
But also for me, shadow work it's not something I ever set out to do. And I get that question a lot. I don't know if you do.
Yeah.
It just happens. And it usually happens when I am least expecting it and it kicks my butt.
Yeah, you get a card pull or something and you're like, oh, we're calling me out today.
Yes.
Awesome. Let's do this.
Here's some shadow for you.
Yeah.
We'll
And
just
you're-
deal with
and
that
you-
later.
You are working on a series, or is that
We
something
are
that-
working on a series.
Okay,
Yeah.
so for more information.
For
check
more
out the
information.
series.
Stay tuned.
Do you feel tarot is a beneficial practice in your relationships? Do you find it helps navigate typical relationship high and lows? Maybe with us.
Yeah,
let's say.
like I would
Navigate any kind of relationship.
I have a tarot reading on my phone right now about our marriage because I find that using cards.
do?
No,
What I do.
no, I like.
Really,
No,
It's
it's fine.
All friends here.
I like pulling cards on how I can show up better for you as a spouse. I like pulling cards on our family. I like pulling cards on if there's some personal drama going on in my life, like best be sure I am pulling cards about whatever drama is happening in my life just to help me navigate it, understand it. What am I not seeing? Where are my blind spots?
A different perspective.
Yeah.
Maybe how could I look at this? I'm seeing it from my perspective. So if I look at it through someone else's using the cards again as that mirror,
Yep,
I think that's really helpful.
absolutely.
But for friends, like you can have a whole conversation using tarot talk and nobody else knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's amazing. It can be like secret code.
Well,
Yeah.
So
Like
I would
I had
to-
such a tower moment today.
Follow-up
Oh my
question.
goodness. Do you want me to answer honestly?
I mean, I do. I'm just here for the tea.
Go for it. See?
Not since we've been younger. I don't think I've pulled cards for our relationship in probably 10, 15 years. I don't need to. We know each other. We grew up together. Like,
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
have known each other forever.
yeah.
I pull cards for, all my relationships regularly, I would say. For me, it helps because I really struggle with healthy dynamics in relationships because I didn't learn a lot of those growing up. So for me, the tarot is like my constant, like, companion helping me navigate that
Okay, and
stuff.
this leads, is tarot spirituality something you've always bonded over? Do you share similar spiritual beliefs for the most part?
Yeah, I would say in the early days, we spent hours every day on like chats, video chats, getting to know each other. And we had nothing to gain or lose because we were just like, this is this person in another country. I'm never going to meet this person. Who cares? So we were just all everything on the table from jump. And we learned early on that we had really like eerie shared beliefs about things, about how past lives work, or how like what that looks like, what reincarnation looks like whether or not things like metaphysical energy and movement of energy is a thing. So we shared a lot of those sort of core
That's so cool.
metaphysical beliefs
Yeah.
from jump. And it was such a cool thing because I'd never, especially the reincarnation bit, I'd never met anybody else, period, who saw reincarnation as a bit of a wheel image, and we both described it that way, like as a wheel and as something that's like graduating from like grade to grade kind of thing. We both saw it the same way. So yeah, immediate bonding over spiritual
That's
beliefs,
so
I would say.
cool.
Did your spouse read before you met them? If not, how long did it take to make them a believer, and how did you convince them?
No and no.
Just like
Just no.
just no.
Just no.
Peggy had played with tarot, I'm pretty sure, before we met, but I got you the dragon deck that you have beat to crap. I got that in the first year, I'd say we were talking. Got her a dragon deck. That's where the dragon thing sort of started. We had a whole fire and water theme from jump. So she started playing with that in the beginning too. But where your tarot practice looks like your practice, like the fact that you work with tarot so regularly, that's all me, babe. That's just me constantly influencing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah.
What were some of the weirdest reading requests that you've ever had?
I don't do readings for people.
Don't read for other people.
Nope.
No. I can't think of any weird. I feel like any question I get from like a client or even a friend, I feel as though I've been very lucky. I've not ever been asked questions that are super off-putting or like somehow don't, like I can relate. Maybe it's an empathy thing. I just feel like I can kind of come at it from like, what is this person hoping to get out of this experience, and then address it. Sometimes I have to work with a client to rework a question a little bit. If I'm not clear what they're trying to get out of it, I might ask them questions like, what is it? What kind of information are you trying to obtain here? Or like what sort of, I might have to ask some questions to clarify. But I can't think of anything that was oddball or strange. I was once asked to do a reading for someone's, I feel like, departed pet, which is actually why I first got the magical dogs and mystical cats, because I was like, I didn't have a deck for that and I really wanted one. And it was a beautiful reading. I loved doing it. But yeah, that was probably the most different.
Outside of the box.
Yeah, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
say it was like weird, just different.
So, question for Dawn. Why don't you do readings?
Yeah, why don't you read for other people, Dawn?
I know. Because, like, why? Lisa does it. I don't.
So do millions of
I was
other
just
people.
gonna say.
Because I don't feel that I am, how do I phrase that? Like, I'm not the right person for that job. If you want me to take your video and make it look pretty and set the stage for you, I can totally do that. But as
Yeah.
far as like actually reading for other people, I mean, I read for family sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's about it. I don't know. It's not my thing.
Do you
It's not my talent.
I think sometimes too, there's this maybe stereotype that tarot reading is for others. And I think sometimes it's not entirely fair, because there's so much that I get from tarot. I get way more from what I do. This sounds bad. I get way more from what I do for myself
We're following you.
than it's not that I don't enjoy reading for other people. I love it. But my meat and potatoes is the work I do for myself. And I think sometimes it's okay to kind of like want to hold something close to yourself as something that's for you, and not have it be something that you do for others. Because I certainly went through a whole phase where I felt like I was kind of like everybody's party trick for a little while. And to the point where I started like forgetting my cards at home when I would go to
Right.
gatherings. Because it was like, because for a while I would just read no matter what, for anybody, everyone, you know.
I think there's also that thought process that if you are here in Tarot Tube, that you must want to be a reader. That is not true.
No, that's like saying that you only do yoga to become a yoga teacher, or you're only fixing bikes because you want to open a bike fixing shop.
So now, what is your advice for somebody who wants to become involved, maybe at the same level that you guys are becoming involved, and don't want to become readers? Don't want to read for other people, they just want to build their own practice, like...
My whole channel's based on that.
Yeah, just watch Dawn, basically. You'll get all your tips from Dawn. No, I think just like give yourself permission to do your own thing.
It's okay to do it for you. Just like it's okay if all the decks are for you.
Yes.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
You're not less than. No.
So how has your aesthetic or attraction to certain decks changed over time?
I used to say I didn't like collage decks.
I said the same thing.
I have more collage decks than anything else because I just made a list not too long ago, so I know.
You were surprised.
I was surprised how many collage decks I have.
Wow, I've never tried to make a list.
Well, I was gonna make a video, and then I went, "Wow, this is a lot of decks."
I think my aesthetic in the beginning was very limited. I feel like I was really. Well, I've always been drawn to bright color. That will always suck me in. But I feel like I've had my taste has matured. I don't know a better way to put that. I don't think it's like my taste was immature before, but I don't know. I feel like it's okay. The best thing I can think of to say is like with wine, it was sort of an acquired taste in a way. Does that make sense? Like the first time I had it, I'm like, this is disgusting. And then I don't know, I had it in the right context and it was kind of tasty. I feel like that's how my certain deck interests have changed. Like I now do like some limited color palette decks. I now like some more chaotic collage decks.
Yeah. I don't like chaotic collage though. I've discovered that's my line.
We might define chaotic collage quite differently.
We might, yeah.
So there's that too. But yeah, I feel like there's certain things that I now explore that I never would have if not for Tarot 2, basically exposing me to lots of different
for sure,
things.
Yeah. Mine's gotten real seasonal too. I view everything through a seasonal lens.
Yeah.
Is this a fall deck or is this a winter deck? And then which basket do I put it in?
I can't do that because sometimes I just want to spin the wheel. Like literally,
Well,
I have a
do
wheel
that
app.
too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you do have a literal app.
I have a literal app, yeah.
What are your deck deal breakers? Decks that would be a hard no. And deal makers, decks that would be a 100% yes, and why?
Oh, 100% yes.
I feel like I have those. So
I know.
I mean, if it's 100% yes, I buy it.
Yeah.
Well,
But what makes it that?
What makes
that's
it
what we're,
that?
That's what we're trying to figure out.
And
Okay,
what are they?
like green flags and red flags kind of thing. Like, what are your green flags that like really tip you over the edge, and then what are the like things that like would go,
I mean,
oh no.
Everybody knows what your favorite decks are, but what?
But why?
Why? Why are those decks?
Okay, black and white is almost always a no-go for me, unless there's something really special about that deck to draw me in. So that's almost always going to be a no-go for me.
And mine is lots of rainbows. Rainbow colors.
Cheers.
Yeah. But we have
Basically-
so many of the same decks though, so figure that one out.
I don't know.
No, I can see that. Black and white. There's
Yeah.
there's not a lot to work with. I get that too because I like to work with color. But sometimes I like the minimal.
The minimal.
The no color.
Or lots of white space. That's another thing that tends to like be a no-go for me. Would be lots
which
of white space.
I love. Lots of white space.
Yeah. And green lights would be definitely unicorns if they're done correctly, which happens very rarely. And lots and lots of color is almost always going to get me to give a second look to a deck. I wouldn't say it's always 100% yes, but bright color will definitely have me watching a walkthrough to see if I like it before I say no.
Yeah.
What about you?
Collage would be especially if it's really well done collage, and analog collage. I do even that's terrible because I'm a digital collager,
but you really like
I
analog.
really like analog collage, and if it's done really well, I'm definitely gonna probably give it a second look, if not buy. Deal breakers, man, it's that 3 of Swords. Can we just please with the 3 of Swords? Can we just change it? I'm sorry. Okay, my rant is over.
I like it when they take the 3 of Swords and they actually like merge the two meanings really successfully.
Just give
like,
me an option. Like
it doesn't always need to be heartbreak. That's so cupsy. I feel like it needs to be expanded more in the imagery so that you have the option to look at it a number of ways. I like to think of it as learning lessons the hard way, not necessarily.
Yes.
I want that learning and growth in there in the 3s.
And it's so frustrating to me when you get a deck that has been completely reimagined. All before the freaking
Except for the 3 of Swords. You get to that one stereotypical heart with swords in it.
And they don't do anything else. It's a heart with swords in the sky. And I'm like, but you did all these beautiful, amazing things to reimagine.
Really unique everywhere else. Yeah, it's
That's
the
a
one.
deal breaker
Same
most
thing
of
with
the
the 8 of
time.
Wands. That's the other one that always gets the same freaking 8 Wands shooting down.
That
in the
one
sky.
doesn't bother me as much
They
as the
don't-
3 of Swords.
Oh man, I think the 8 of Wands is probably worse for me than the 3 of Swords.
Yeah.
Just because it's always the same. It's just like 8 things
is.
in the
Experienced deck FOMO. What's your opinion about that?
So deck FOMO, absolutely.
Yep.
I have made videos going, bought this deck because I was afraid to miss out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Defining it. So fear of missing out, or FOMO as we call it, like to me, that's when you buy something because like you're afraid it's going to go out of print, or maybe it is out of print and you're worried you won't have another opportunity. A lot of purchases that I make because of where that's the driving factor have not worked out for me. I feel like it's like instant karma.
Same.
Like buying for that reason, it just doesn't work. But I will say that as far as like avoiding it or like kind of navigating around it, the biggest thing is like just ask yourself, like if this thing, like especially if it's an out of print deck, like if this came back into print next week, am I going to kick myself for buying this right now?
At out of print prices.
And you can ask yourself the same question in reverse. Like if this goes out of print, am I actually going to miss having it?
Yeah.
And you can kind of work yourself through it. I'm not saying it's always works. Clearly it doesn't.
Well, I think there's also the flip side of that, or maybe not the exact flip side of it, but the other side of that of FOMO, as in all your favorite tarot tubers are playing with this one deck.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's a huge one.
When you see somebody you really
Yeah.
like their content, this happens to me all the time.
Or
like,
they get real excited about a
like
deck that
you're
they're
really
saying.
excited about a deck, I want to buy it. Danny and Dustin real excited about a deck, I want to buy it. Like, and even when I know deep down I'm never going to reach for this, I'm like, but no one really likes it, so it must be good. You know, it's like the people you look up to. It's really easy to get sucked into that and think it's going to work for you.
For me, that's a bigger side of FOMO than the maybe I might miss out on this deck and want to get it out of print or something.
Yeah, because it's
more
almost
of
like that community experience. Like you want to be a part of it.
I want to be part of it. I want
Yeah.
to share with it. If you're talking about it, I want to know what you're talking about it. Although I can watch your video, but then I usually click the buy button too. But I think that's a very real thing and a very real discussion that happens around. Like, just because we like it doesn't mean everybody else is, and just because we like it doesn't mean the other one's going to
Exactly.
either.
Yeah.
Tough question here.
Uh-oh.
How many decks do you have?
I don't know the exact number, but I'm pushing 500 and I'm trying to get there, which I know is not the thing you're supposed to say in this community right now, but legit, I want 500. Just because.
That's such a great round number.
Just because. Why not?
Why not? You know, we wouldn't say that about somebody collecting spoons or teacups. You know what I'm saying?
Or books.
I have DVDs.
I have more
or
books than I have tarot decks,
fine
but
art.
nobody ever gives me shade about that.
No,
Just saying.
It's true.
Just saying.
I have, I think, around half that. I think I have around 250, give or take, tarot, oracle, and Lenormand and such. I think it could be somewhere between there and 300.
I have some in purgatory though, because not every deck works out, but I'm real careful to move stuff along now because that's bit me in the butt. And ask me how many decks I've had to repurchase.
No, don't ask us that
Yeah.
question.
How many decks did you purchase?
What have you done? What have you done?
Not a literal number. That was a figurative. Figuratively.
What's the literal number?
I have no idea, but there's
Give us a ballpark.
probably a dozen, if not maybe more.
I'm probably somewhere between 5 and a dozen. Probably closer to a dozen.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say
That's what purgatory
So
drawers are
11.
great.
yes.
Peggy's like,
And-
so 11.
And
she
also
says.
why we let things sit in purgatory for so long.
That, and honestly, I'm really lazy. And the moment
It's
you
a lot
list a
of
deck,
work.
you gotta like deal with people and like pack it, ship it. And I'm like, sometimes
Yeah.
I'm like, just not this week. Okay,
Yeah.
maybe next week.
Yep, bins in the closet.
Yep.
Great for just out of sight, out of mind for
I have
right
a
now.
drawer and a dresser that just like stores my stuff.
How do you know what tarot card decks are in each of those hundreds of bags that you have?
Yep.
We both have the same method for this.
Yep. Every bag has its own fabric. Every fabric is specifically picked for that deck.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah.
I have a seamstress in house, and I have 0 duplicates. Or if I do, it's intentional. Like decks that go together might have the same fabric, like multiple copies of the same deck, for example,
Yeah.
in different sizes. Have to have a
yeah.
matching fabric, but yeah.
No duplicate fabrics. Although sometimes I will like take scraps and put them together, but it's always a different pattern, so
Yeah.
I know it's a different deck.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's it. That's the answer.
Yeah.
Peggy makes all of my bags.
I have Peggy bags too.
Oh yeah, that's right. You do
You
have a
do.
couple Peggy bags,
I
and then you
do.
make all of your own.
Yep.
Okay, so which is your favorite Peggy bag? No.
Oh,
The
yeah.
one you made for me with the special little hearts for my tarot.
Oh, you did the
Yes.
heart embroidery for the Art of Love
Oh,
tarot
yes.
on the red
Yes,
fabric.
that's
Yeah.
my favorite one.
Yeah.
Just because I know
Yeah,
it was made specifically for that deck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Love
I
that.
forgot all about that. How do you bond with all your decks?
Okay. That is a question I get a lot. That's a question you get a lot, probably too. With a big collection, how do you bond with everything? I don't bond with everything. No.
Not everything is a meaningful experience. Some of them are for play.
Yeah.
Some of them have very specific jobs. Some of them get stuck in the closet, and maybe they'll come out in a year or two because
Yeah.
you've made me mad, and I'm not working with you right
That's
now.
what purgatory's for.
That's what purgatory
Yeah.
is for.
I think it's just like giving yourself, like, I'm going to just say giving yourself permission to every question. But like, I do think it's a thing where I used to think that I had to limit myself. This is how my brain works, okay? So just, I'm sorry. But I used to think I had to limit myself to no more than 52 tarot decks because I typically rotate my decks weekly. So if I had more than 52, there would be something that wouldn't get used every year, right? And I was like, that's kind of silly because over time I realized that there's decks that I only reach for when like you said, when I need them for a specific purpose, and there's some that I use a whole lot. And if I limit myself to this very rigid idea of what works, then suddenly everything kind of languishes. And
I think it's a natural process.
Yeah, like just...
It's just like, I think if you're setting out, well, okay, I say that, and then I wrote a book on it.
By the way, Dawn has a book.
Literally called
have
Connecting with the Tarot, and it's
Yeah.
all about bonding with the deck. However, like, there is an assumption that you have to be very best friends or life partners with your deck, and that's not true. I got some of them that are fair weather
We're
friends.
very polyamorous with our tarot.
We are very,
very pansexual and polyamorous with our tarot. Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Wow.
That's how,
Awesome.
we need a
We
tarot
like a
only
lot.
fans now.
Yeah.
All right. Between the two of you, have a deck that's like you love and you hate, or vice versa.
Oh, not real fond of that garden gnome deck at all.
Oh, the D&D one?
Yeah,
I'm kind
that's a no. Oh,
Well, I mean, I like it, but because it's collage, there's some cards in that are a miss for me, but I could see how it'd be a whole no for you.
oh, there's also those weird. I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to insult any decks, but there's those ones that have like parchmenty background and just like random flowers and
Like a Fidia Rosa?
Those, yes,
Yeah,
I don't
okay,
get those
okay.
at all. I'm like, that's a nope. Like, it's giving
Yeah.
me nothing. There's no color.
Yeah.
There's no scenes. It's just some flowers on some parchment. I don't know how anybody gets meaning from those. That's a hard no. Yeah. Whew.
Mine would-
kind of wanted to like those though. Not gonna lie.
I mean, the
kinda want
production
to.
quality is
They look
phenomenal
beautiful.
too. They
I
are
just-
beautiful.
I just don't
you
know
have to
how-
work at it with those though.
I don't want to work that
I know.
hard. I'm
They
too
make you
lazy
work for
that.
it.
Yeah, no.
I have them all now.
I know.
And I backed the Kickstarter on the new one.
I know. That's what Kate brought it to mind. Like, I know she just bought another one, and I'm like, I don't even get the first one.
I think for me it would be the rainbow heart one.
The Rainbow Heart Tarot?
Yeah.
Oh, that one's such an explosion of color.
I know that's probably why. I think
probably why.
I think it's sensory overload
It's
for
a
me.
little bit like an acid trip.
Yeah.
I mean, from what I've heard, because I've never actually tried acid, so when I say that, I have no idea what I'm talking
looks like.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of it. It's very bright.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, but like for me personally, I think that's sensory overload for
Fair.
me. You
I
know,
like
living
two
in my
copies of
black and white and gray world here.
Yeah. We can just scatter some cards around like confetti. You'd get used to it. We'll desensitize you over time so that you can then add those kinds of things to your collection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems that at least somewhat you regularly mention decks where the art style doesn't really resonate for you, but you still find it a good reader.
Well, like, most of the time I usually think back of why did I buy it in the first place? So what was the initial draw, even if the art style isn't my cup of tea? And usually it will be because there's a certain card, or maybe the theme of it fits a certain practice. I do that a lot. It doesn't necessarily, I know everybody thinks I'm matchy-matchy all the time, but it doesn't necessarily have to be the most aesthetically beautiful thing. If it's a good reader in terms of like it works for the practice that I'm working with, or it's like in alignment with a certain energy that I'm trying to cultivate. And then how do I get over that? Like sometimes I just have to put my designer brain on the back burner and
Yeah,
be
'cause
like,
that's
just take
it.
it at face value.
Yep.
This is what it is. And like any tarot deck or even oracle, there's a system underneath that. So you can look beyond the art to get to the system, because if we didn't, I think there's some decks that wouldn't still be around, just saying.
Yeah. It's kind of like turning off the aesthetic side and
Yeah.
like focusing on the function of it.
Contrary to popular belief, not all of my decks are aesthetically pleasing.
No, they're not at all.
They're not.
Your tastes are quite wide ranging. I think that's something that yeah.
I use decks for what are you gonna do for me? What purpose are you gonna serve?
Yes,
you don't
what
have to be
purpose?
pretty. You know, you just have to be functional.
You have to be functional. That's a good
Okay.
question.
So do any of your pets have a soul deck? Not necessarily pet theme, just one that resonates strongly with your energies. So this is about pet readings.
I have a dog tarot and a cat tarot. I don't have a cat. I have a dog tarot so that I can do readings for the dogs. I think I've done maybe one ever.
So it's not a big thing.
Not a big thing. No.
I don't even have a dog deck. I
Why
don't
not?
think.
You should have a dog deck.
I don't know. There's one that has a tucker for the Fool. I might have to get that one.
should get that one.
Just cause.
Yeah.
But yeah, never done readings for my pets.
Yeah. Only the one time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
What deck would best describe your partner?
Any dragon deck. That's blunt, fiery, spicy. I use dragon. I use dragon decks for Peggy every single time, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think I'd probably have to go with vanilla.
Or
No,
maybe vanilla bean.
I would probably have to go with the Dungeons and Dragons tarot because people don't give it enough credit because they think it's just a kitschy little fun deck and they don't like the French vanilla ice cream. There's more beneath the surface. Yeah.
Yes, there's more beneath this. I love that.
And my husband's a nerd.
I was just going to say, plus there's a D&D connection
There's a D&D
Yeah.
connection there, but also it's underestimated a lot of the time.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Not Peggy, she's overestimated. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I just meant with all the fiery. Like, I feel like you are exactly what you see on the tin. Like, there's no, like,
That's, yeah.
I love the dragon. Like, you see it coming. You know it's going to breathe fire on you.
Yep.
Like, it just is what it is.
You're like, okay, I'm prepared.
yeah.
Here it comes.
Shields up.
Okay, here's the next one. Do you let your spouse use your tarot cards, or are they off limits?
I don't know if Kevin's ever touched any of my
What would you do if
decks.
Kevin's like, hey, Dawn, I really want to do a tarot reading for myself?
Hey, Don, I really want to do a tarot reading for myself, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, go pick a deck, baby. We'll figure it out. yeah.
Best day ever.
Yeah. I mean, I've done a few readings.
Suck you right in.
I've done a few readings for Kevin, but he could go like. He's my other half. He can go in and touch anything of mine. That sounded so dirty. You know what's gonna happen. He can put his hands on anything he wants.
You just really went all in with
I
it.
did.
Like, you're like, I'm here.
I'm here. I did
It
it.
can't possibly be worse than the ice cream thing.
No, it can't possibly be worse than the ice cream thing.
Put that on your channel, by the way.
Okay, so yes, Peggy can touch any deck that she wants. I will say I do get moderately twitchy
Moderately.
because whenever she touches my decks,
Reversals.
she shuffles reversals. And sometimes it's pure chaos. It's not even just reversals. Somehow, and I have no idea how she does it, I will pull the deck out. The box lid will be on upside down. The box will be like funky. And then not only are the cards sometimes upside down, but they're also sometimes upside down like front to back.
Flipped around.
Like how do you?
that on purpose.
But I don't know how you do it. It's some kind of bizarre magic trick. So she's like, honey, I use these decks. And so then she leaves them out for me because she knows that I need to put
You
them
gotta
back
put
into
them back,
proper
yeah.
order of some sort.
Yeah.
But yeah, she can use whatever she wants. Except maybe my first edition Monster Tarot. Maybe not that one.
I guess maybe my Llewellyn.
See, there's always gonna be like
Okay,
one,
then there's
right?
maybe
Yeah,
one.
like-
Maybe my Llewellyn. Because like don't get your energy on it.
yeah, just don't leave your like butch/man cooties on this particular
Yes,
deck. Yeah.
please. Hit us with the YouTubing. Those are our
YouTubing.
favorites.
What made you want to jump into that switch of being a YouTuber?
I wanted to geek out with people about my decks. Look at this pretty thing. Okay, no, I wanted to do a walkthrough, and I wanted to do a really pretty walkthrough. That, like, for honestly, that is I wanted to see if I could make a really beautiful walkthrough.
You succeeded at that.
Thank
like,
you.
You're a very beautiful walkthrough.
But then it was, oh my goodness, look at all these people talking about tarot, and they have all these great decks, and I just want to be involved in some way, shape, or
it's
form.
like these are our people, and
Yeah.
we want to be involved. I think for me, I was like sort of secretly, I guess, but quietly lurking and watching TarotTube videos for like a good year before
Yeah,
I even
same,
started
yeah.
commenting. And then it's like I kind of came out of my shell, first started commenting, and then started my channel very shortly after. Because once I started commenting, I'm like, I have so much to say, and I can just say it.
Yeah.
And that's what started it.
Yep.
What are some of the challenges of TarotTube, the YouTube you wish people knew?
Oof.
Gosh,
question.
there's so many. There's so many. It takes more work than you think it does. And I could go down a rabbit hole. So the thing that I always tell people when they ask me about starting a YouTube channel, make the kind of content that you want to watch.
Yes.
So that's what I do. That's
the
what
same
Lisa
thing. Yeah.
does. And I think that's the biggest thing that people don't understand is that, okay, yes, we make content for everybody else, but it's for us too.
It's for us first. I think
It's
if
for
it's
us first,
if it's
yeah.
not for you first, like I think this is the thing that gets misunderstood a lot is like people are trying to be what other people want, and to a certain degree, if you're going to enjoy doing it for the long term, you have to come up with content that is fun for you to make and that is fulfilling for you, regardless of how it like performs. If you're hung up on performance, I feel like the work wouldn't be worth it. You have to be enjoying the process.
And don't track your analytics daily.
No,
just drive
step
you-
off YouTube Studio. Like it is not
It'll
it's not a
drive
good
you
scene.
crazy.
Yep,
Drive
it's
you
too easy to
crazy.
get into comparison and such.
Yeah, yeah.
How do you stay organized with all the things? Do you ever find it too much? How do you keep it going at it?
I learned how to organize from Dawn. I came to you, I can't remember when, and I was like, I don't know how you keep it straight or something. And you're like, oh, I have a calendar. And then like you gave me some ideas. In fact, you even helped me come up with like a mock calendar. Not even mock, like you were like, okay, what are all the videos you want to do? And I was like, these are all the videos. And she's like, okay, cool. If you did this one on like the second Tuesday, and like you helped me kind of sort out what that could look like. And then I took that idea and ran with it and have used it ever since.
Yep.
So I completely credit all of my organizational anything with YouTube to what I learned from you. For sure.
In order to be consistent and to grow, you have to put the time and effort in. But in order for that not to be overwhelming, if you can be prepared for what it is, and that doesn't mean content always.
No.
It just means that I know that I want to be there. You know, I want to show up twice a week for the community. So I'm going to slot time in my day to make sure that I can show up in whatever way, shape, or form that's going to be. Because I don't know about you, but occasionally I get people who make comments about my quantity over quality.
Oh, yeah, that's also slimy. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So anyway, I've seen that come about
Which
a few
is bizarre
times.
because I feel like your quality is like so, like you put way more effort into quality than I do. I feel like, that's,
But the organization too is also for me. Back to what we were talking about of it's got to be for me first and it's got to work for me. If I don't know what I'm doing and when I'm doing it, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, I think that the key for me, the organization was the key to avoid burnout.
Yes.
The reason I came to you was because I was like, I have all of these ideas and like that got overwhelming. Once I had a calendar, it's like, oh, okay, so I want to make all this content. I can start mapping it out way in advance. I have almost my entire year of content kind of loosely planned. Like I kind of know roughly what type of video in each slot. That helps me to be completely relaxed about it. It's like, oh, for the next couple of weeks, these are the things that I want to come out. And it makes it manageable. It's the organization that makes it manageable.
It does. And it also helps prevent that burnout because you're not trying to do all the things at once.
No.
Like, and that could be another thing too when you're doing Tarot Tube. And like you and I, we don't participate in a lot of the tags and stuff. And that's not because we're not interested.
No.
It's because we don't have the time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but like we have so many slots and then we have to fill.
We try not to. And the other thing
we try not to overburden ourselves.
This is actually one of the things I was really struggling with, and you'll see this in the early days of my channel, is I could not stop making videos. I had an idea and I was like, I got to get it recorded right now. Whereas now, because I plan ahead, it reminds me that I don't need to make 5 videos a week. Because for a bit there, I was making 3 to 5 a week.
Yeah. Which
and
is
I was like,
fast track to burnout.
Was not sustainable. So having a calendar and going, I know I'm going to put this out, helps me to also kind of hold myself back from overdoing.
The other thing it also does is when you reach those burnout phases, you have space to take a break and nobody knows and there's no disruption to anything that you have, put yourself out there for.
Like I've pre-filmed according to my schedule for a couple of weeks so that I can just take a full week off and things keep trucking along super smooth.
I pre-filmed so that I didn't have to worry while we were
I did the same
having this
thing.
visit.
Yeah, we both did the exact same thing.
It creates space for us. We make videos when we have the time and space to, but then instead of just rushing to hit the publish button, it goes into a schedule which creates that buffer.
Yes.
So when we get to those points where it's, wow, I don't have it in me to make another video today, it's okay.
You can just take a breather. You can just skip it. You're like, I can plug something
Yeah.
else. I also like, this is just like a personal tip. I don't know if this is going to come up later. But one of my best things I've ever done for myself was to come up with a few video ideas that I can film and just bank. And so walkthroughs are great for that, especially not walkthroughs of new decks, but just like, I'm going to do a walkthrough of this deck I've had forever. I can film that and just set it aside. I think I did this with the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot. I filmed a walkthrough of that, and I think I actually published it like almost a year after I filmed it. Because I was just like, I need a video for this slot, and I've got this one banked. And it's a great way to sort of balance out your content so you have those backup plans so you can continue to be consistent and not burn yourself out.
It's that sort of, work-life balance thing.
Yeah. You're working hard on that front end kind of to buy yourself relaxation on the back end.
Right.
Yeah.
And to not feel the stress or the pressure when those, times come up. And I think there's a consistency there, which becomes, I don't know how else to put it other than habitual. Like it's a part of your life. So rather than trying to squeeze videos in here and there in between everything else, it's just, I have a dedicated block. This is when I do my videos, same as I have a dedicated time when I go to bed.
Yeah.
Same as I have a dedicated time really when Kevin and I watch Critical Role.
Yeah, exactly.
Nerd.
Exactly.
We're nerds. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So on the flip side of that, since you guys have had a channel for a while, how has that helped you grow personally and professionally?
That's such a good question. Okay, so I will say YouTube did a lot for me when it came to feeling like I had a right to take up space in front of others. Like I already had enjoyed public speaking, but it was one of those things that I did so rarely that I would get up in front of people and I'd have this amazing time, and then I'd forget exactly what that felt like, and I'd go back to sort of shrinking in the world again. And I think you can really see it if you go back for both of us and look at older content versus newer, how much more confidently we speak, and like it just feels like you have this opportunity to sort of recognize that you have a right to be there and say what you feel and talk about the things that are important to you. So that's, I think, a huge growth thing.
Yeah, I think finding your voice amidst the crowd, and being able to listen to yourself, listen to your own voice, which goes back into the making the kind of content you want to see, because we don't really follow trends very well.
No.
I mean, just saying, we don't.
We just kind of do our own thing.
We do our own thing, and we make what we like. But I think part of that is the YouTube growth experience, is just learning that it's okay to do your own thing.
Okay, and the next question that actually follows that is, how do you overcome burnout in your practice and or your YouTube routine?
I've made a video about it. Have you?
I think we've both made videos.
We both made videos.
I think we both, is it in our membership, or do either of us have public videos?
I think I have a public one that actually is called Tarot Overwhelm.
Yeah, I'm sure I've talked about it. I can't remember if I made a dedicated public video about it. I think, like, for me, the biggest thing is giving myself permission to change my practice, and also to reduce expectations of myself in general. So when it comes to YouTube, it's like, I don't have to be all things to all people, reminding myself that I don't have to show up at the same level all the time. It's as simple as, like, maybe I was going to do a face-on video, but it's more work and more setup, so I do a top-down video instead.
Always the top down.
Always the top down. That will
we
never be
really
the same.
love our top down around here.
We really like to film with our top down. But anyways, so yeah, I think it's like giving yourself permission to change things up. For me, that's the biggest thing. With tarot practice, it doesn't have to be a card every day or a full spread every day. Sometimes it's like, I'm going to do like a reading twice for myself this week, and that's going to be enough. And yeah,
I think that's a big thing for me too, is just giving myself permission to do whatever it is I feel like doing in that day. Even if it's something that I set out. So like, I'm terrible. I do the monthly medicine. I will change my own spreads because I don't feel it today. So I'll change my own spreads and things like that. Just doing your own thing in your own way.
Make it yours.
Yeah.
Have you ever dealt with imposter syndrome? If so, how did you overcome it?
Every day of my life.
Like, are we ever not somehow in imposter syndrome?
We send messages back and forth to each other. Like, should I do that?
Yeah, like, is this okay?
Is this okay? Will you validate my? How many times have I said to you, will you validate my idea for me?
Please look at this. Like, does it make sense? Or can you watch this video before I release it?
Yes,
like, is it okay?
We do that
like,
a lot. I think that's really important when you make content too, because it's to be aware of how others perceive what you're putting out as well.
Like sometimes I'll play stuff for Peggy if I'm like, am I saying this? Like, do you get what I mean? Or it's nice to bounce things off of people, but imposter syndrome all the time. And I think anything that puts you on display in front of other people is going to highlight all of your inner critic stuff, all of your, like, am I good enough? Am I measuring up to so-and-so? And like, how come this person, like, how come my video isn't performing as well as that? That's why looking at analytics so often is so bad. Like, that's why neither one of us try to look at it very much.
My imposter shows up when I'm like, why are you people actually watching what I'm saying? Every day. I'm like
what?
My members, I'm like, I cannot believe y'all want to hang out with me for 4 hours.
We have so much anxiety about our memberships. We're like, oh my God, people are paying us. There's no way we're giving them enough. There's no way we're giving them enough value. There's no way. And it's scary.
We both have a lot of imposter syndrome around the membership and stuff.
It's
but
scary.
we love it.
It's a really great space, but
Quick little follow-up question. Do you feel that imposter syndrome is a normal part of the process?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think it's a normal part of being human.
Yeah, and I think getting comfortable with the discomfort of imposter syndrome is how you do awesome things in life. Because if you're just, it's kind of like, what is that quote about how, like, courage isn't not being afraid, it's like being afraid and doing the thing anyway. I think that's kind of how imposter syndrome is. It's like, if you just show up and breathe and move through it, then you have better experiences, like more exciting.
There's a little bit of trust there too, like trusting in yourself, trusting in your community too.
To receive you the way that you're intending.
Not everybody does, and that's cool. Those people aren't for you, but you know,
exactly.
It's a lot of just that's every day.
Yeah, for sure.
Every day we're like, why are these people watching us?
Yeah.
Why are they listening to us? We don't know what we're talking about.
Being, and I quote, famous.
We're
Have
famous.
you had people recognize you where you live, in the store or whatnot. And is that scary or exciting?
It happened yesterday.
I was gonna say, so we went to a bookstore
Yes.
in the general area here, and it's awkward, I think, a little bit at first. I feel like the first time it happened to me was at a tarot symposium. I wouldn't say
I was
it's
gonna
at my
say,
hometown.
yeah. So I don't really count the bookstore because like they're all cool there and I know them. But like at the tarot group, or the tarot meetup, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the first time somebody like came up to me and was like, I watch your channel. I was like, I'm sorry, you do?
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is the Joanna Nelson. I'm going to tell this story.
Go for
it's
it.
Totally relevant. The first time I went to the tarot symposium, I was like vlogging in my hotel room, like literally, I called it bedhead vlogs or something. I don't even know if they're still up on the channel. Anyways, and I was like rolling out of bed and just babbling excitedly about being at this tarot conference. And the creator of one of my favorite ever decks, Joanna Nelson, the creator of the Mons Tarot, was there, and I'd seen her at a dinner, but I was way too shy to say hello. So I was vlogging about this, just totally innocently to the very small amount of people I thought were watching my channel. And the next morning I go to breakfast and she came up to me and was like, oh, I saw your video and I just wanted to give you a big hug. And it was just super sweet. And I was like, so like stunned. I was like, wait, no, so what? What? And it was just such a cool moment, but also like a really weird moment for me. Because that's the moment when I think I realized that like, oh, this really is on the internet. Like anybody can watch it. Oh yeah, maybe the bedhead vlogs, not the best plan. But like it was just that moment of like, oh, right. Because I think in the beginning it feels like you're maybe like videoing for like 10 people.
Yeah.
Because your channel's little and you
Right,
like don't...
and most of the time you know those 10 people. So
Yeah, you're like, okay.
yeah, let's talk about this thing today.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think mine was really not around here, but I live close to where the tarot symposium happened.
Yeah.
So yeah, during that time for sure. But that's it's a weird thing.
It's just strange.
It's cool. It's really, really cool
Yeah.
because you have this like language with people that, because they watch, well, like when we were at the bookstore and she was saying, Lisa, you anti-hauled that.
Yes, I know. She was literally like, no, you talked about this one in your hot takes and this is what you said. And I'm like, thank you. That's so helpful because I don't remember what I said.
And really cool that you
awesome.
can have like this continued conversation almost.
From the screen to
From
real
the screen
life.
to real life, yeah.
And I think the reason it's trippy is because when we're recording, we're just sitting out like in our home, like just talking, and the camera feels like we're talking to just like the community at large.
Everybody, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like almost like somebody sees into your room, which they are because we're showing them our room.
Yeah.
Like it's strange, right?
Yeah.
But it's awesome.
It's really cool, yeah.
All right, well, this one is specific to Dawn.
Okay.
And knowing that you're a graphic designer, what projects do you work on as a graphic designer?
Currently, or did I work on? Those are two different questions.
Yes.
Well, currently, as everybody knows, I have decks that I'll never finish.
Oh, we'll make sure you
Books
finish
that
them.
I'll never finish.
We'll make sure you finish those too.
Well, my monthly medicine, that's a graphic design thing I do every month.
That's beautiful. Those come out and they're gorgeous. She's helped me with my book. You did the whole layout for the Self-Worth Path. You're going to help me with some layout stuff for my deck.
For your deck, yeah. Just general designy stuff.
If you need it to look pretty.
If you need it to look pretty,
That's
I'm
what
your
she
girl.
does, yeah.
Previous, I did lots of cover art. I did cover art for years and years and years.
Book cover art?
Book cover art, yeah. Which I think most people probably know too.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Okay, so how do you cope with any negative or dismissive feelings coming from your partner? Was this something you talk about or just get on with doing your own thing, or is it mostly positive support and involvement?
Like, is this negative dismissive about tarot specifically? Like kind of tarot metaphysical?
Well, I'm
No, I think
generally
this is personal.
Okay, all right.
I'm generally dismissive of you. Like, I
I can answer that. If Kevin ever says anything dismissive to me, the first thing I say is that how you meant to say that? Because most of the time it is a miscommunication.
Ooh, that's really
And
good.
he's saying something in his very no nonsense, logical, this is what it is. And I'm over here all up in my feels going, but it don't mean.
Oh, yeah.
So
relatable.
is that what you meant to say and how you meant to say it?
Can you please take notes?
I was just literally thinking like, wow, that's a really good tip.
It takes like 25 some odd years to get to that point, but
7 more.
Sage.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'll ever get there. When Peggy says something that pisses me off, Oh wait, I'm sorry. That wasn't the question. I'm sorry. Dismissive. When Peggy is dismissive.
Either way.
No.
I mean, it pisses you off to be dismissed.
It's
so,
for reals.
Yeah.
What was the question again? That was so good.
I think the question is supposed to be targeted mostly towards.
That's okay. What was it again?
We'll go personal. It's good.
When I get any kind of energy that I'm not loving from Peggy, typically we talk it to death. Usually first we like yell at each other a little bit, and then we talk about it later. But I wouldn't say neither one of us are the type to like just leave stuff on the table and then ignore it. Like definitely. But mostly I would say definitely by far, mostly it's supportive energy back and forth for sure.
Oh, for sure. Like on the whole, but if there is any sort of inkling of maybe that might be dismissive, then I will usually ask for clarification because 9 times out of 10, he just don't mean it the way you said it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such good
Or
advice.
the way I took it.
Yeah, that's
the big
such
thing.
a big thing because your own stuff is always in there being a filter between you and the other person. Yeah.
Gotta get out of your own way.
Yep.
So if you and your spouses were going on a silent retreat, which country would it be and what sort of spiritual concept would you be exploring?
You and I would not survive 5 minutes at a silent
I was going to say
retreat.
silent.
There is no way in hell I would ever willingly suppress us to that degree, given how much we both love to talk. I cannot even imagine. And if we did do that, can you imagine the ride home? Like,
Wait, are we just going together? Do we have to stay together the whole time? We're just traveling to the silent retreat together. And
then like you have
It's not all
individual.
day. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you can, I can't. I'm going to babble at some point.
We are breaking the rules. Okay, what we've learned about this is that if we go to a silent retreat, we're going to be the rebels finding little quiet corners to chatter in. Yeah, pretty much like exactly like that. Yeah.
So basically, we wouldn't be going very far so that we could be just ejected. You guys are too noisy, get the hell out.
I would go somewhere where I knew that the moment we got kicked out, we would have somewhere fun to hang out. Yeah. That's
That's
it.
a good answer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hope it's not too personal.
Are you saying that or did they write that?
Yes.
That wasn't an answer. Okay.
Yeah, that's my life.
Okay.
The not answer.
You have mentioned being sick in the past.
Oh, I
Can you
remember
tell us
this.
more about that?
I've talked about it a lot on my member stuff, but I've struggled with a lot of health issues in terms of allergies, had issues with medications and trying to basically detox my body off of that. If you look at my channel in the very first few years, I'm never on it besides my hands. And there's a reason for that because I was sick. And I don't know, I kind of got to the point where like, I don't let that define me anymore because it did for a really long time.
Which is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. You don't
I
let that
do my
stop you.
thing now. And
Yeah.
if my skin wants to act up, then it does. And whatever. Like I don't wear makeup. I don't dye my hair. Like we all know this now. It's very apparent.
Your hair is freaking stunning right now. We are all here for it. We are all here for it.
Yeah, I don't let it define me anymore and I don't let it stop me. I mean, physically if I need to. I'm also real big on if I'm tired, I sleep. If I'm hungry, I eat. Like I spent years fighting my body and I don't anymore. I just, if it needs something, I try to give it to it if I can.
That's perfect.
If you were an ice cream cone, what flavor would you be?
This was easier to ask than answer.
What flavor would I be?
Okay, I got it. I would be strawberry cheesecake ice cream because it's sweet and also a little tart. / sassy. Because I got sassy. I feel like people don't know that I have sassy. I've got a lot of sassy in there. It's just,
I love when you.
Sassy, but I don't feel cheesecake is sassy.
but it's tart.
It's tart. Yeah.
yeah. And I feel like I can make the translation.
Okay.
I love when Sassy Lisa comes out. These are my favorite messages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good.
What would I be?
You know,
gluten-free.
You know, I want to say cookies and cream right now, right?
That's a good.
It's kind of on brand.
It is. Cookies and cream would be very on brand for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say chocolate chips,
But
so
it has
that's.
to be frozen yogurt.
It has to be frozen yogurt
On a gluten-free cone.
on a gluten-free cone.
Yep.
I was gonna say chocolate chip, but cookies and cream,
Something black and white.
something black and white. That's
That
me.
needs to be the thing.
The two like.
Wait, isn't there
What you
actually a
see-
checkerboard ice cream? Isn't there a
There
checkerboard
is.
ice cream? There is.
Checkerboards, chocolate,
There's a
vanilla
It's
checkerboard.
like Neapolitan, but without the.
But
But
without
it's
the
in a
strawberry.
checkerboard shape, so if you slice it out of
yeah.
the carton, it's actually a full-on checkerboard.
That's me.
There you
The
go.
two
Or
sides.
checkerboard
Yeah.
ice cream.
Checkerboard ice cream.
I like
It
it.
must be only a Canadian thing.
I think that's more. Yeah.
Yeah.
It might be a
Yeah.
Canadian thing.
Canadian.
In Canada.
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 Back where we live, up north with the igloos.
Canadian.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is something that you wish other people knew about the other person? So, Dawn, what do you wish people would know about Lisa? Lisa, what do you wish people would know about Dawn?
Well, she said the sassy thing, but also I think that, which we've talked about, people don't always take Lisa as seriously as she deserves.
Yeah.
Because light and fluffy does not mean there's not a crap ton of substance behind absolutely everything. And everything Lisa does is incredibly intentional, even if it's so happy and just makes you feel so good about yourself when you watch Lisa's channel. But it's super intentional.
Yeah. I think the thing that I wish more people knew about you was that you have so much, like Dawn is very, Kevin spoke to this in the other part Q&A that we're going to share with you guys, but you bring so much heart to your channel and so much of the warm, cozy, squishy vibes. And I think sometimes people look at a video that's like edited or it has pretty aesthetics and they assume that I guess we're saying something similar.
We're saying the same thing. How interesting is that?
It's like the assumption that it's superficial.
Yeah.
And there's so much depth and intention, and you show up exactly as who you are, right? So it's not put on, it's not something that you just you bring your real passion and care for the tarot and for other people to your channel. And I think sometimes, like I said, it's people see the look and it's like the whole judge a book by its cover thing. But
we both have that, just different aspects of it.
And it's things like the nerdy stuff and the geeky laid back stuff that happens behind the scenes that people don't realize that I wish they did. It was so fun.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out with us.
And if you want to see some shenanigans by the spouses who you heard off camera, you'll want to come over to my channel for part 2.
For spouses.
Where they're answering your questions that we're asking them.
So hop on over.
do that.
Via links below.
Yeah, and above.
And above. And all the good things.
Okay, bye.
Bye.